Hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Central Add-on Spotlight Series. I'm Emily, a marketing specialist at Savantis. We're excited to introduce you to Sana Commerce. And the representative here today with us is Mike. He's here to share and demo the integrated e-commerce solution for Business Central. I have a couple housekeeping items before we begin, really quick. First, we encourage you to ask any and every question that you have. If you look to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. You can drop all of your questions there and we'll be sure to address them before the webinar ends. And second, we are recording the webinar and we're going to send you the recording via email within 2 days. So I'll be on the lookout for that. And it's also going to be up on YouTube. So share and rewatch as much as you'd like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mike. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you, Emily. And you can see my screen and hear me okay, correct? All right, perfect. Yeah, big thank you to Savantis for having us today. Appreciate it very much. Big thanks to everybody for joining. My name is Mike Brenneman. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Business Development for the Americas at Sana Commerce. Little bit of background on myself. I've been in the Microsoft Dynamics space since 2008, so for about 15 years now. I've spent some time on the ISV, right, integrated system, integrated software vendor, side of the channel. I've also been on the partner of the Savantis side of the channel, having sold Microsoft Dynamics ERP, both Business Central, Navision, which it was called in its previous life, and some of the other Microsoft Dynamics products as well. But I've been at Sana Commerce for about 5 years now, and very much looking forward to introducing you all to the solution today. So we'll start moving forward with a few slides. I'm not going to bore everybody with a bunch of PowerPoint. I've got about 4 or 5 slides or so, and then we're going to jump right into the demo, and we'll get into the action and the platform itself here pretty quick. But yeah, just a little bit of background on Sana. We were built in 2007, so we're a 16-year-old company. We've had 50% year-over-year growth throughout the years. We've grown our organization to over 600 employees now across 12 different offices internationally. We work with mainly through partners, just like Savantis, Microsoft reseller partners, and we have about 1,800 plus active customers now. You can see here we're a Microsoft Gold certified partner. We have been highlighted in the Forrester Wave for a number of years. We also more recently have made it into the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So happy to say that we're one of the top 14 e-commerce platforms across the globe internationally. And we are also Microsoft's preferred solution for D365 and verified on AppSource. I want to talk a little bit about our customers and what makes them unique and what makes them a good fit for Sana versus, there's a lot of options out there when it comes to e-commerce, right? There's a lot of mainstream solutions like Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, Woo, some that are similar to us that are, unique to the Microsoft Dynamics channel. But, going back to our tagline on the first screen, which is prioritizing, in my background, prioritizing relationships and not just transactions. What we've really learned about our customers is that the reason that they have found success over the years is not because they're the cheapest, right? It's not because they have the best priced product. It's because they are extremely good at fostering relationships with their customers. Our average customer has been in business for about 25 years. We have some customers that have been in business for over 100 years. Whether it's 5 years, 25 or 100, right? That's a long time to be building and fostering relationships with your customers and fostering these relationships to the extent to where your customers really depend on you as a supplier because you've got the best mix of products, you have the best products, maybe you do or don't have the best pricing, you've got the best SLAs, you've got the best service, right? It's at the end of the day, it's about customer experience. Now, the other thing that we know about B2B companies specifically is that they're a lot more complex than B2C, right? When we're talking about pure retail, if Emily or I wanted to buy the same bathing suit, which of course we probably wouldn't want to do, but just for the sake of argument, we would pay the same price unless Emily had a coupon code that I don't have access to, right? But when it comes to B2B, there is a lot of complex logic in your ERP system and a lot of complexity in the way that you do business with your customers. As a result of it, you've got blanket orders, you've got trade agreements or sales agreements, you've got certain discount tiers that you assign your customers to, or maybe you give them a discount percentage in Business Central attached to the item card. You've got volume pricing. You've got quotes, you've got orders, you've got to convert quotes to orders, right? That's a lot of complex logic. But the reality is that all of that logic is set up in a way that your customers have been used to buying from you in those particular fashions and under those particular terms for however long you've been fostering those relationships. So we see a lot of times organizations that try to keep up and try to move towards online sales. And we also see that unfortunately fail. A significant amount of the time, because you have to be able to give your customers the same online experience or better, right, that has made you so successful working with them offline. And if you can't give them the ability to buy off of those blanket orders or convert those quotes to orders, right, that complex B2B logic, then you're going to be giving them a worse experience than what they're used to when either emailing your sales reps or picking up the phone and placing an order and you hand keying it into the system offline. So a lot of organizations that try to make the move to online, to the more mainstream solutions that I mentioned earlier, which traditionally have been built for more B2C channels and less complex businesses, they struggle to deliver that same experience online. It leads to frustrations, errors, and disruptions, right? And in turn can possibly damage some of those longstanding relationships. So at Sana, what we do is we get rid of the silos, right? We are a window into the ERP system. We install our application directly into Business Central. And when we do that, we actually update, modify, and add some table structure into Business Central or some functionality that's not there out of the box, right? And then the ERP becomes the window, the ERP becomes the brain, right, that powers the e-commerce platform. And the beauty of this is that it's all in real time, right? So the second that pricing changes back office, the second that inventory levels are fluctuating, right, that is all going to be in real time out on the web. You're not going to outsell your inventory unless you want to, which some companies do. And you're not going to be selling on yesterday's pricing. Everything is 100% real time in sync. And on the flip side, when somebody creates an order online, that is going to hit the ERP system in real time as well. And it's going to leverage all of that complex logic, shipping logic, tax logic, pricing logic, just as if the order was being hand keyed into the ERP system. So, we essentially are making the ERP and the e-commerce work as one, to provide customers total customer convenience, to provide you and your customers reliability without compromise, and also to be able to allow you to constantly evolve and keep up with the fast changing needs of those buyers. Now, I've talked a lot about, why Sana has a strong value proposition on the B2B side. That doesn't mean that we don't work with retail companies or that we don't work with companies that are just purely B2C. It just means that our value proposition is even that much stronger on the B2B side because of all of that complex logic and the ERP that we tap directly into. But we certainly serve both, and we have a lot of companies who both have B2B and B2C channels. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the demo. And I promised I wasn't going to bore you with too many slides, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into my demo environment. Now, I'm just going to familiarize you with some of the screens that I'm going to be bouncing back and forth through out the course of the demo. You'll notice that I've got this first screen here, Outdora. This is just a demo store. It's a dummy store, if you will. And then here I've got the Sana Commerce admin panel. The admin panel is where a lot of the configuration, a lot of the themes, the styling, the CMS, the content, right, is going to get created. And also the hyper-personalized experiences. And I want to highlight that point. It's not okay in 2023 just to stand up a web store anymore, right? Your buyers are expecting a hyper-personalized experience. They want a web store or a portal or an online e-commerce store, whatever it is that you want to call it or they call it, that is built specifically for them, right? When they log in, it looks and feels like it's built for them. It has their catalog. It has their SKUs. It has their pricing. It has their trade agreements. At the end of the day, B2C and B2B buying is very different, right? B2C, if we're looking for those swimsuits, Emily and I, we're going to go out to chubbies.com or whatever website we want to buy our bathing suits from, and we're going to hunt and peck. We're going to look through the whole catalog. We're probably going to narrow it down to male versus female and certain sizes and filters, right? But we're going to hunt and peck. B2B companies don't want to hunt and peck. B2B companies want an efficient experience. They want suggestive selling. They want the ability to be able to reorder something that they buy or replenish on a particular frequency with a couple of clicks of a button. They want to be able to get in and they want to be able to get out. So those hyper personalizations that we'll dive into throughout the course of the demo are going to give those B2B buyers, excuse me, the ability to do that. Now, I also have an instance of Business Central up and running. I want to be able to show you the real-time interaction between the two applications. So we'll jump back and forth a little bit between BC, my admin panel, and my Outdoor web store throughout the course of the demo. So first off, all of our customers are a little bit different in that, again, some of them are going to be B2B, B2C, or maybe a hybrid of both. They're also different in that some of them want a private web store or a closed portal, right? Where it's going to be behind a login screen. This is only for my customers. It's not for prospects. It's not for the public to see. This is for my customers to be able to log in, and we don't want to display anything until they do. That's completely fine. That's a setting in the admin panel. You can either make it public, you can make it private, or you can make it a hybrid store, right? Hybrid would be maybe I sell B2C and B2B, or maybe I only sell B2B, but I want it to be a public-facing store because I want to lure more customers to my site, right? I care about search engine optimization. I want to get my brand out there. I want to convert more customers online. I want to tap into new markets. And that's okay too. Maybe the site behaves a little bit differently depending on whether I'm a customer or I'm not. Maybe we don't display pricing, or we don't display inventory, or we don't even give them access to the catalog until they've requested to register as a new customer. So again, everybody's a little bit different. There's a lot of flexibility in the solution. For demo purposes today, I'm going to demo out of a hybrid store that serves both the public and the customers that are already, created back in Business Central. Maybe it serves both B2C and B2B. The first thing that I'll do though is I'll just familiarize you with my demo store, and then we'll start to log in as some different users and go through some use cases and show you, how the site starts to behave a little bit differently depending on who I am. So to familiarize you with the demo store, up here at the top, you'll notice I've got a bunch of headers. These headers are going to represent categories and subcategory structure of product. Right? I've also got some other headers like About Us, Contact Us. There is no limit to the amount of product pages that you can create, or catalog or content pages rather, that you can create in Sana. So if you want to have careers, About Us, customer service page, a returns page, all of that stuff, you name it, have whatever you want. You can build out as much content as you please. Also in the upper right-hand corner, you'll notice I've got a login, which is, if I do log in, will lead me to my account section. As I'm scrolling down a little bit further, I've got some top categories broken out with that subcategory structure. I've got some top picked items. Maybe these are my most profitable items, or maybe these are my most commonly purchased items, and I want to highlight them on the main homepage. Scrolling down a little bit further, if I click on this takes me to an About Us page. If I scroll down further, I have a store locator, right? Or maybe for B2B companies, if you're not a brick and mortar, you've got a dealer locator or a distributor locator. Scrolling down a little bit further, learn more about some of our featured products. Here's a newsletter carousel, right? I could have blog or newsletter here, where I've got a bunch of different articles that I can kind of, scroll across and swipe across the screen in order to, look at some of the latest reports that you've created. And then, of course, newsletter subscription and sitemap down here at the bottom. Now, again, I'm not logged in, so I'm just looking at the site publicly. And what I want you to understand is that when I click on bikes as an example, and we'll come in here into the Shimano e-bikes. The site is set up to behave in a particular way, right? When I'm looking at it publicly and I'm not logged in. In this case, you'll notice that everything defaults to US dollars. I'm also just showing commercial list price here. Now, I've also set it up in a way that when my customers aren't logged in, I'm not showing exact availability. I'm just showing that it's available. Okay, this is all going to start to change when I start logging in as different types of users. The other thing that I want to everybody to understand on the demo today is that all of the data that you see here on this screen is being driven directly from Business Central. So I mentioned earlier that when we install into Business Central, we update, we modify, and we add table structure. One of the things that we add into Business Central, one of the simplest things that we add is item visibility. And so you can see here on this screenshot, there's a little slider. And if I slide yes to make visible in Web Store, and I can give it a date range if I wanted to, that way it'll automatically come down if it's out of season as an example. But if I slide that to yes, we automatically take all of the core data from that item card and we flood it online, right? And you can do this at the item level or the category level. That way you can get new sections of your catalog up and running very quickly without having to go into every single individual SKU and do this. Now, what is core data from the item card? It's the item number, it's the description, it's the item name, it's the units of measure, it's of course the pricing, it's the attributes, right? If you sell in different shapes, sizes, colors, those are likely going to be stored as attributes in Business Central. And those are also going to be searchable, sortable, and filterable out on the web. Variant IDs, right? If you have 3 different bicycles that are 3 different colors, but it's actually the same item, but you have different variant IDs for each of those colors, that's going to pull through. So all of the data that you see here on the screen is being driven from the ERP because I've slid all of these items to yes, make visible in the web store. Now, one of the things that we want to do is give you the ability to complement that core data with additional data points and information for your buyers in order to be able to make a buying decision online. Okay, not all of that's always available in the ERP system. So within my admin panel, I have the ability to add YouTube videos. I have the ability to override the description that's in the ERP system. If I come in here into web pages, products and product pages, okay, all of these items here are the ones that are slid to yes, make visible in Web Store back in Business Central. Now from here, I can override the page title and the URL for SEO best practices. I can override the description that's in the ERP to make a more robust customer-facing description out on the web. I also have the ability to add as many images and as many YouTube videos or 360-degree view images that you can spin right here. Back in Business Central, you're only allowed to attach 1 image to an item, right? That's a limitation. Now, Sana will pull that image through automatically and will resize it into a thumbnail, a regular size view, and a zoom view. But you may want to have more than 1 image. In that case, you can mass upload as many as you want to Sana. We can have them automatically associate to the right items and in the order in which you want them to display. So that way, when your customers click into a product page, they get a very full, robust description, right? Maybe they get a YouTube video. They can see other items that are frequently purchased together for upsell, cross-sell. This is also based on artificial intelligence and AI. They can see volume discounts. They can see the package contents, right? If this is part of a kit or a BOM or a bundle, we pull all of that through from the ERP system. They also have the ability to see not only that description, but those specifications or attributes, right? If there are downloadable service guides, if there are warranty documents, if there are other types of attachments, we'll pull that through as well from the item card so that those are available here online. And you can see I've got reviews turned on. I've got mix and match where maybe we have some upsell, cross-sell, or we have mix and match logic. Like buy get 1, or maybe buy 3 of these, get 1 of those, or buy this and get 10% off of that. I can see my last viewed product. So again, point is we take all the core data from the ERP system and then we give you the ability to complement it on this from the Sana admin panel. Now the beauty of this, right, in the WIFM, if you will, the what's in it for me, for our customers is that if they sell 10,000 SKUs, they don't have to go building out 10,000 product pages from scratch, right? That takes time. That could take a year. At Sana, you slide the slider to make visible in Web Store. We automatically flood all those out to the web, and it may not get you to the end zone, but it's going to get you, to the 20-yard line, and then you can complement some of that core data, with some of the additional functionality I just showed you in the admin panel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in as a known customer. And this is where we're going to start to see some of that hyper personalization come out. So again, if I go back to bikes, I'm not logged in yet. I'm going to go back to Shimano e-bikes. And this time I'm going to log in. I'm not going to look at the site publicly. I'm going to log in as Frank. When I log in as Frank, you're going to start to see the site behave a little bit differently. And the first thing that you're going to notice is that some of the information on the product page has changed. Okay, it's no longer in US dollars. The software is smart enough to know that Frank is in a country over in Europe. He buys in euros, and so it's automatically flipped over to euro for him. Now, the other thing that it's done is we're not looking at commercial list price anymore. We are looking at contract pricing or pricing as it's structured in real time from the ERP system. Okay, so the pricing has changed, and we're not just showing that it's available, we're showing exact availability. Now, let's say I log out as Frank and I log in as Steven. And take a mental snapshot of the screen that I already familiarized you with. We have all these headers. We've got these two people here on this image banner. We've got these 8 top categories. I'm going to log out as Frank, and I'm going to log in as Steven. And now we're going to start to see some real hyper-personalization happen. When I log in as Steven, all of a sudden, a bunch of my headers go away. I've got a completely different image banner, and I've got only 4 top categories, right? And the idea behind this, and I was mentioning it earlier, it's not hyper-personalization just for the sake of hyper-personalization. It's not about just throwing somebody's logo. So when they log into the site, it looks and feels like it's built for them. It's about efficiency. If Steven and the company that Steven works for don't buy patio furniture, they don't buy lawnmowers, they never will, then we don't want to serve up a site that does have 1,000 SKUs. We want to serve up a site that they can get in and get out of very quickly and efficiently. And so if we've got, specific portions of the catalog that we wanted to deliver to different customers, we can do that. I have a customer named Cold Steel. They've actually been acquired. They go by a different name now. When I originally sold them, they were called Cold Steel. They make weapons. They make blowguns, katana blades, samurai swords, all real interesting, cutlery and weaponry. And they sell to the police, they sell to the military, they sell to direct to consumer, and they also sell through a distribution channel. And when they went live with Sana, they only had one web store, one URL. Right? If I'm a distributor that logs in, I've got a completely different catalog than a particular division of the military might have. In the state of California, blowguns are illegal. I can't sell them. So when somebody logs in and they're in the state of California, we don't want those to display, and we can't ship them to somebody in California. Interestingly enough, they can't even store them in California. They have a warehouse where I live in Arizona. But you get the idea, right? We want to be able to serve up these hyper-personalized experiences, and we want to be able to give people a very efficient buying experience. So when I log in as Steven, I only see the items that I, want to buy. So I can get in and get out. I don't get lost and drown in 10,000 SKUs. Now, one of the other beauties of being tightly integrated to the ERP system is that we can create these different catalogs or these different customer segments based off of a lot of different types of data. Okay, so I'll give you an example. What do we want to have happen if one of our good, loyal customers that we've been fostering a relationship with for 15 years logs into the site and they have 20 invoices that are outstanding and they're over their credit limit? Do we want to continue to sell to them? Some companies do. Or other companies might want to enforce a particular behavior, like paying those invoices online, right? And bringing that credit, bringing them back into good credit standing. So maybe you want to pop a banner when they log into the site that says, hey, Mr. Customer, we love you, but you've got invoices outstanding. Please click here, right? And it takes them to the My Account section to where they can pay those invoices online. Or maybe we just want to have a little page message that pops up at the top that lets them know that we've turned off orderability. If I log out as Stephen and I log in as Olivia, Olivia has broken some sort of a rule. Maybe it's a credit limit rule. And when she logs in, you'll notice that there's a custom page message here at the top. She's prevented from ordering and seeing price and stock information, and she needs to call customer service. So if I go to click on bikes and go to those Shimano e-bikes again on that same product page, she doesn't have an add to cart button. She can't even see price or availability. And you know, what allows us to be able to drive these experiences is that integration into the ERP system, because we've got a direct lookup into the credit limit table. And if I wanted to create something like that, then I can come in here into the admin panel. I go to my customers, I create a customer segment, and all I'm doing to drive the segmentation is picking fields from the customer master file. There are other fields I can pick as well that aren't back there, but in this case, I would just grab the credit limit table. I would give it a condition, give it a value, and then I go create a banner as an example. I tie it to the segment. Maybe I further segment it to the US and not Canada, right? By country code. I could do that, further segment it, and then boom, every time somebody logs in, they're in the US and not Canada, they're over their credit limit, they're going to get that hyper-personalized experience, in which case is trying to drive them towards some sort of behavior like paying those invoices online. So now that we've kind of gone through and we've talked about hyper-personalization, we've logged in as some different users, let's go through some buying scenarios. So I'm going to log out as Olivia because she can't order anyways. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log back in as Frank. Now, Frank is a B2B customer. Okay, so Frank wants that efficiency that we were talking about. He doesn't want to hunt and peck. He doesn't want to spend an hour on the site. He just wants to, you know, replenish goods. Now, for the sake of demoing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 2 blue bikes, 3 green ones, and 1 red one into my shopping cart. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that to the cart. And I'm going to come out to my shopping cart now. So I'm going to click into my shopping cart. And when I do that, all of those items are there. Now, if I have a sales agreement on file, I can click here and I can buy on that sales agreement. If I have a discount code, I can apply that discount code. Discount codes are handled from the Sana admin panel under the sales section, where those can be set up and configured. But let's say I know what I want already. I don't want to be hunting and pecking like I just said, right? I've got a couple of different options. One, I've got a quick product lookup. If I've been buying from you for 20 years, I know what I'm looking for. I probably know an entire SKU number, if not a partial SKU number, or at least a description. So I can type in a couple of letters, pick the item that matches what I'm looking for, adjust my quantity and maybe my units of measure, and I can add it to the cart. If I am in my warehouse and I've got a barcode scanner and I want to replenish a particular item, or a particular number of items, I actually can set it up to where my scanner or my device, my phone, you know, I can scan the barcode and it'll automatically add the item into the cart where I can adjust the quantity and the unit of measure, just like I showed you. If this is something that I do buy on a particular frequency and I don't want to have to come back and rebuild the cart every single time, I can add it to a list. So I can create as many lists as I want. I can have a list for a particular portion of the catalog or a particular group of items that I buy on a, you know, I may end up having 20 lists over a period of time. I go ahead and I add that to the list. And then the next time I come to the site, I either go to the My Account section where I can access my list, or I come here and I click Load List and I click on it to make sure it's the right one that I want to add. I adjust, you know, the quantity that I want for each of the items and the units of measure. Maybe I delete an item off of there because I don't want to order it this time. And then I go ahead and I add it to the cart. So I'm building out that cart very easily. And for those of you companies out there that have really, really big bulk orders, and I'm not talking quantity, I'm talking line items. So like maybe you've got a customer that buys 50, 75, 100 plus line items at a time. You can actually set up what we call a bulk order strategy. And the best way to do it is to create another header for maybe upload bulk order. And then in the Sana admin panel, if I wanted to build out a bulk order page, then I would just come in here and let me create a new content page. I have what we call a content element that is for shopping cart upload. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this to the page, and it's spreadsheet driven, right? So CSV, flat file, spreadsheet, I upload it here, and it's going to have a list of items that I know my customer buys on a particular frequency, and they can come to that page, they can download that sample CSV, and there's going to be an item number column and at least a quantity column, depending on the complexity of your business. Maybe there's a variant ID column, or maybe there's a warehouse ID column if you actually ship out of multiple warehouses. But the point is that the customer can come out, download that sample CSV, just add the item number, the quantities into the quantity column, and then they can drag and drop it to the page, and it builds the cart for them in real time on the fly with all of their customer specific pricing and all of that complex pricing logic in the ERP system. So another way, just again, efficiency, get in and get out very quickly, and give them an efficient experience. So now that we've added a bunch of items into the shopping cart, I'm going to go ahead back to that shopping cart, and we're going to create an order. Now, for those companies out there that also create sales quotes in Business Central, we'll leave this button turned on, and you can use this to create quotes, or you can use this to facilitate a very nice quote to order conversion process, right? And that process could work in a couple of different ways, depending on what your business process is. Maybe the salesperson creates a quote on behalf of the customer, and salespeople will have access to the portal. They can log in and represent the customer and create a quote or an order on their behalf. So maybe a salesperson comes in and they create a quote. It triggers an email notification to the customer. Customer clicks the email notification. There's a hyperlink in it to the quote page, and then they convert it to an order, right? Or maybe they create the quote and it triggers a workflow to the salesperson who has to review it first before it gets created or converted into an order. And so either way, whether it gets converted into an order back office in the ERP, or whether you use one of those two flows that I just talked about and it gets converted online, we're going to create the quote or create the order or flip it from quote to order in real time in the ERP system. So I'm going to go ahead and click proceed to checkout. And now, when I go ahead through this checkout procedure, I've got a couple of different options on how you can set this up. You can have one-step checkout, multi-step checkout. I'm showing multi-step right here. Maybe you have it set up different for B2B versus B2C. And that's fine too. Again, with B2B, multi-step checkout is more common because it's about efficiency. Everything's on one page, couple clicks of a button, you're off to the races. But all of my ship to information is already on file, right? We're pulling this directly from Business Central. So, but what if I have multiple addresses? Well, we're going to pull all of them through so that you can actually search and filter for the right one. Or maybe you give your customers the ability to hand key in a new address altogether and save it to file for future use. That's fine too. I'm going to go ahead and deliver to the default address. I'm going to select my shipping method here. Some companies are going to have a selection, some aren't. Right? Shipping can be done in a million different ways between small parcel, LTL, freight, rate shipping. There's brokers, there's third-party integrations. This is a topic that we could spend 30 minutes on just in and of itself. Same thing goes for payment. You might leverage on account where you're invoicing your customer with terms and they're not going to make a payment online. That's fine. Maybe you want to give them the ability to pay by ACH or eCheck. Maybe you want to give them the ability to pay by Amazon Pay, PayPal. There's over 250 different payment methods that we enable within Sana. One of the important things that I want you all to understand here is that shipping methods and payment methods are segmentable, right? So maybe some of our customers, we give the ability to choose whether it's going to be on account or they're going to pay here in the basket in the checkout procedure, and other customers aren't going to have a choice. Maybe some customers aren't going to have the ability to, choose their delivery method. Maybe some customers are going to want to be able to select pick up in store or pick up at warehouse. So a lot of different ways this can be configured, and coming out of the webinar today, we can have deeper discussions around that and the ways that you specifically want to handle these and or do handle them in the ERP. But I'm going to go ahead and just select on account here instead of paying for the order here online. And maybe then I give it a PO number, a reference number, some comments or requested delivery date, and I go ahead and I submit my order. That order has just been created in the ERP system in real time. And it's just as if I hand keyed it into the ERP, right? So the tax logic, the shipping logic, whatever's set up back in the ERP is what's going to be presented out here on the web. This is not a Sana generated order number. This is an ERP generated order number. Okay, that's a big difference. A lot of the mainstream solutions, they're only going to show, when your customers go to log in and look at their My Account section, they're only going to see web orders, right? And the web order is also going to be a different order number than the order number that's in the ERP system. So when somebody picks up the phone to call and say, where the heck are my goods? And you ask them what the order number is and they give you the web order number, you're going to have to go figure out how to cross-reference that and actually find the order in the ERP system. We're a window into the ERP, remember? So this is a ERP generated order number. I'm going to come back into Business Central. Let me just refresh my login here. And under the sales order screen, I'm going to go ahead and search for that sales order. So I'm just going to paste in that order number. And there you can see the order in real time. Now, the other beauty of this is it's a bidirectional integration. So as the status changes, right, from open to posted to invoice to pick to pack to ship, all of that's going to be reflected out on the web store in real time, and your customer can be getting email notifications along the way. The other importance of this is that if there was an order error or I need to manipulate the order in the ERP system. So like, let's say we come in here and we change this particular item from a quantity of 2 to 200 and I save and I close out. Now I come back over here to the order page and you're going to notice that's already been reflected in real time. So it's a bidirectional integration. Now, once I place that order, we still leave it editable by default while it's in an open status. Okay, once it's posted, invoice, pick, pack, ship, we usually turn that off, but that's also configurable. From here, I can edit the order if I need to. I can also reorder, right? So back to the lists and the order upload that we talked about earlier, the ways that you can just efficiently get in and get out, a couple clicks of a button. If this is something that you buy on a particular frequency and you want to reorder, you can come in here and reorder it. It'll pop it back into the cart for you. It'll recalculate pricing because what if pricing changed or availability changed, right? And then you just go through the one-step checkout process, maybe drop an item, add an item, change some of the quantities. Very efficient getting in and out. I can also download the order from here. I have the ability to look up my entire order history, invoice history, quote history, credit note history, return order history, shipment history, regardless of whether it was a web order tomorrow after you implement Sana, or whether it was hand keyed into Business Central 3 years ago, or for those companies that also might be looking to complement EDI, right? If you sell to big box retail and you've got EDI set up because you sell to Costco, Target, Kroger, but you've got a lot of mom and pop shops also that aren't going to set up on EDI and incur those costs, and you want to be able to complement that with Sana in a web portal, right? It doesn't matter whether the order came in via EDI. When your customer logs in, this is a window into the ERP system. They're going to be able to search order numbers, date ranges. If I come here into invoices, let me get rid of this date range here. You'll notice that I can see all of my invoices. Again, doesn't matter whether they were from a web order or not. I can see the status of them, whether they've been paid, whether they haven't been paid, whether they're expired invoices. I can view the details of the invoice. I can actually multi-select as many invoices as I want and pay those online. When I view the details of the invoice, I can even get to a copy of the invoice directly from within Business Central without having to pick up the phone and call anybody back office. Okay, this is just being served up directly from BC. So if you've got, a custom invoice or there's a particular logo, et cetera, they're going to see exactly what you normally would have sent to them via email or when you invoiced them originally. They can also create an RMA or kick off a return order initiation from here as well. So I could go into this particular invoice and say, okay, this is the line item that I want to return. This is the quantity. 2 of the 10 that I bought were broken. here's the comments, right? Broken bikes or whatever. And then I could even give it a reason code. And I could also take a screenshot or, a picture from my smartphone of the broken bikes, and I could upload it here. So I've got documentation to support my request. And then we drop that off over in the ERP system. We send somebody a notification back office also so that they see it. It slaps them in the face. And then you go through whatever your process is to approve or decline that return order request. And then, of course, any of those return orders, they'll be able to see their return receipts here, as well as the status of them all, and see, what the progress is being made back office on that request that they made. And if you do create a credit note because you've authorized a return, they can also see their credit notes from here as well. Okay, sales agreements are going to be here. Shipments are going to be here. Now, because this is dummy data and it's just a demo environment, I don't have a live URL for tracking. But if there was a live URL, right, where they could actually track the shipment, that would show up here. They could click into it. And again, they'll be getting email notifications every step of the way also, right? Email notifications are handled here from the admin panel, where I can come in and I've got about 35 or so different email templates out of the box, ranging from password reset to order confirmation to edited order confirmation to payment confirmation, et cetera. And I can come in and I can manipulate these templates either in plain text, or if I have a developer or designer that knows HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, they could actually get pretty creative and aggressive with the email templates. Anyhow. So a lot of self-service capabilities from the My Account section. And by the way, for companies who aren't quite ready to make the leap to actually selling online via e-commerce yet, we do have an option that we just call the Sana Customer Portal. Now, we allow you to stand up your catalog, stand up all your product pages, your content pages, your About Us section, whatever it is you want. We just don't allow orderability, right? Or quotability. We don't allow transactions in the ERP system. However, a lot of organizations that aren't ready to make that leap to e-commerce, but do want to provide more of a customer portal and some self-service capabilities, they'll have the ability to give their customers access to this My Account section, where we can serve up transactional history, allow them to pay invoices online, and be able to see, particular documentation that might be specific to them. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind, and that we can have a deeper conversation around later on if you're interested as well. Now, two more things that I want to walk through here that I think are important, and then we'll jump to some Q&A. The first one is building out content, okay? This needs to be easy. You don't want to have to rely on a third party. You don't want to have to put in a request to IT to make a change to the site, or to add an image, or to make a change to a product page or something like that. So we've given our customers the ability to do this in a very intuitive, or what I'd call WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get kind of way. So if I were to come in here to, I could do this across my product pages. I could do this across my product list pages. I could do this across my content pages. I'm going to use content pages to show you an example, but let's say I want to make a change, or I want to build out a new page. I have what we call a visual designer. It's based off of a 12-column grid structure, which gives you a lot of flexibility as to how you can lay out your page, right, across these different columns. So I've got predefined layouts. I can apply custom layouts. And let's say up here at the top, I want to add a YouTube video. So I'm going to come in here into my column settings. Now I went ahead and I'm just going to use a company that I've been working with here for a while. I went out to their YouTube channel, and let me just copy a link to one of their videos. So I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to give it a particular height on the desktop. I'm going to make it look a little bit more modern. I'm going to round the top left corner and the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to save my changes. Now, by the way, Sana's built-in responsive design. So it doesn't matter whether I'm on a laptop, or I'm on a desktop, or I'm on a tablet. Notice when I click Control-Shift-I, this automatically resizes to the size of the device that I'm on. In this case, it's a mobile view. And so I can take this with me wherever I want that I have an internet connection. And we even have the ability via customization to make it offline capable as well. But point is that anywhere you have an internet connection out of the box, you can use it on any device that you're on. Let's see here. So I've added my YouTube video. For some reason, that's still loading. Let me try something else really quick. See if this works a little bit better. There's another way to add videos. So I'm going to pop that in here, and I'm going to put it on a loop. I'm going to mute it so that we don't hear the audio, and I'm going to go ahead and save my changes. So there's my YouTube video loading right now. That'll load in just a second. Now down here below, maybe I want to add some additional content. So maybe we want to highlight our executive leadership staff. So I've got a team member content element. Now I've broken out a 3-column grid structure here. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab Elise, the USA Marketing Manager. I would, of course, change her name, change her title, change her description, maybe put a link in here to her LinkedIn URL and save my changes. And now I've got my team member. And then over here, I'm going to add another team member. And this time we're going to add, let's see here, we're going to add Mr. Keith Miller and save my changes. Now, if Keith and Elise get into an argument as to who shows up to the left or the right or on top, you know, I can move this around. It's all drag and drop. So I can move Keith over here to the left of Elise. If I want to move it above the YouTube video, I can do that as well. If I wanted to come down here and I wanted to add, let's see, I'll add another image down here at the bottom. This time I'm going to grab a logo. Right, I could do that. Now, obviously, that's not a good image quality, and I don't want it that size anyways. But let's say, you know, I wanted to change this, make it smaller, have it pop over here on the left. I can do that. If I sell items that are part of a bill of materials that have a lot of spare parts to them, I could also create a spare parts exploder. Right, so there's a lot of flexibility. All of these content elements we've created so that you do not have to know how to code and build something from scratch. If you do, great. That's fine. There's a code content element. And, you know, my designers or developers can come in here and they can start building, you know, stuff from scratch and doing whatever the heck they want. But we've taken a lot of the heavy lifting out of it for them. And if I want to build out that spare parts exploder as an example, I'm going to add a lookbook to the page. And then I'm going to swap out my lookbook image with an exploder diagram. And so here I've got this bicycle. And again, not a good image quality, but I wanted to pull this in just to show you all. And we can do 360-degree view images. We can get really creative with these spare parts exploders. You could use CAD files. The point is, though, is that I'm just going to give it hotspots, right? This particular bike handle is a product. It's a spare part. So I'm going to search for it, and then I'm going to add it to here, and then I'm going to come create my seat hotspot, right? And the idea is when the customer comes out to the site, they don't have to know the individual SKU number, go hunting and pecking. They can pull up the bike that they own and the exploder diagram and say, I need this, and it'll add it to the cart for them. So a lot of flexibility and very easy to build out those, you know, those product pages, product list pages, static content pages, newsletter, blog, etc. The last thing that I want to show is and talk about is insights. So when it comes to analytics, everybody that has an e-commerce site or even has a website generally is familiar with Google Analytics. Now, I can come in here into my setup and I can come to the marketing section and I can pop in my Google Tag Manager container ID and leverage Google Analytics. The problem with Google Analytics is that it's not giving you the whole picture. All it does is give you what we call clickstream data. What is clickstream data? It's data like what people are clicking on, what they're looking at, right? What their behaviors are online. But the big pieces that's missing is the who, right? Google Analytics doesn't tell you who's doing what. It just tells you what's happening out there. So because we have a direct integration to the ERP system, we're in a unique position at Sana to be able to take the clickstream data, the web store data, and tie it back to the ERP data. And when you can meld all three of those together, you can get some extremely actionable insights. I'll give you a couple of different examples, and let me just come in here into analytics. So I've clicked into Sana Commerce Insights. This is driven via Power BI. And there's a lot more technology behind the scenes that aggregates all the data, but we're presenting it in Power BI. So this will look familiar to a lot of you. And essentially, we take all of that data, pull it together. And when we can marry all of that and we can look at offline versus offline data, that's some pretty fascinating stuff, right? Being able to see all up revenue from an offline versus online standpoint, being able to look at which customers are faring better online or buying more product online versus offline, which items are performing better online versus offline. There's also something called ROPO, and this is fascinating, but ROPO is what we call researched online, purchased offline. And if I wanted to see something like that, I can actually get, deep into this data. I can right click and I can drill through a customer table, product table. So this is very interactive. I can get very deep and granular into the data. But if I see that somebody has been researching something online, but then an order comes in offline that gets hand keyed into the ERP system, I want to start asking questions, right? And the first question that I want to know is, what were we missing online that didn't give you enough information to the extent that you had to pick up the phone and call a salesperson and ask them a bunch of questions, and then they had to hand key the order into the ERP system? Because that's how we get better. That's how we create more efficiencies, how we create more conversions online, right? And you need to be able to see that data in order to do that. And if you don't have access to the online and the offline data, you'll never be able to enforce things like that and be able to get better. So I've got executive overview dashboards. I've got web store performance dashboards. We can see number of sessions, visitors, minutes per session. Again, we can drill through into all of this data. I can see things like abandoned basket. And we can tie this into an email marketing technology, right? If people are leaving items in a basket and they're sitting there for more than 6 hours, maybe we want to hit them with an email notification that gives them a 10% coupon or something to help try to get them to convert online. And so I've got a lot of different types of details here that's going to really help me start to drive more revenue, better understand my customers, and create better practices. If I wanted to look at the customer table and be able to see, which customers are performing better online versus offline, I could do that. If I wanted to look at it from a salesperson view, here's the ROPO that I was talking about. If I wanted to look at it from a salesperson point of view, which of my salespeople's customers are performing better offline? Because if Susie's customers are performing better online than John's are, I want to know what she's done to help roll this out to her customers that have gotten better adoption. And we've got all sorts of adoption dashboards too. And if you're looking for a piece of data that we haven't presented to you here out of the box, you can come into the Q&A and you can ask the system what you want to see. It will build it for you on the fly. So if I want to see max orders per customer, I can do that. If I want to see year-over-year revenue growth, I can do that. If I want to see total orders by product group, I can do that. What if I don't want to see it in a graph or a line chart? I want to see it in a pie chart, right? It'll build it for me right there on the fly. So that being said, I know we've only got 5 minutes left, and this is probably a lot to consume, but I hope this was helpful for everybody today. And Emily, if I could turn it over to you really quick. I'm not sure if we've had any questions that have come in throughout the course of the presentation, but I want to make sure we get those answered.
Yes, absolutely. We do have a couple. So everybody, go ahead, and there's still time to drop questions in the Q&A. Let us know what you want us to talk about. But this is one of the questions that came in. How long does it take to implement Sana platform solution?
That's a great question, and I'm going to answer it in a couple of different ways. First off, it depends on whether Business Central is already live and up and running, and whether it's stable. And we're now going to just integrate into that instance, or whether you're in the beginning and or mid implementation for Business Central. Because we're so integrated into BC, we really can only move as fast as the ERP implementation does. But that being said, if you're live and stable already on Business Central, our average implementation, if we don't have to do a ton of customizations and you can leverage Sana out of the box, is normally between about 90 to 120 days. We've done it in as fast as 19. I will say that wasn't comfortable for anybody, us, the partner, or the customer. But it was under some extenuating circumstances right at the beginning of COVID when it first broke out. But I would say about 90 to 120. If you require customizations or extensions, then it could potentially take a little bit longer than that. But hopefully that answers the question. It's a good question.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for that. Another question that came in, do we need to have a designer or web developer to handle the design and CMS, or should a third party handle it?
You don't necessarily need either. I would say 90 to 95% of our customers, we do the installation, we give them the training, and they're off to the races on their content. As I showed earlier, when I was building out a content page, there is a code content element, and there is an ability to be able to leverage HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, but you don't have to. And we've built so many of these content elements already out of the box that you can use for most of the things that our customers generally want to apply to a page. So some of them do hire third parties because they don't have bandwidth and they want to hire a designer, or a third party agency, and that's fine. Agencies are going to be able to pick this up very easily. But 90% of our customers are going to handle the content themselves, or maybe they pay us to replicate the look and feel of their existing site and kind of get them again to like the 20-yard line, and then they take it and finish it from there and then maintain it moving forward. So
awesome. Thank you for that. And then again, drop your questions here if you have any. We just have one left so far, so drop them if you have them. Is the solution compatible with all new BC updates?
Yes, it is. So we first off, Sana is deployable as a SaaS solution. If we don't customize the heck out of it to the extent to where it breaks the SaaS model, and usually we don't, because we've got all these extension points, just as Business Central does, to where even if we do have to quote unquote customize it, if it's via an extension, it won't break the SaaS model. So if we don't break the SaaS model and we can deploy Sana as SaaS, there's a new version of Sana that comes out every 2 weeks. We're in a 2-week sprint cycle that's going to have new features, new functionality, SEO updates, bug fixes, security patches, etc. And it's always up to date with the latest version of Business Central. We get the new versions of Business Central and any code changes to BC behind the scenes at least 90 days before they're generally available. And so that gives us time to make sure that any tweaks that we need to make to our integration or our extension into Business Central is made before it's generally available. And because we're verified on AppSource, we have to go through continuous validation with them. So whenever there are changes that are made, we're there already changing with them before those updates ever hit end customers. So that's not an issue. And the last thing that I'll add on to that is that we're compatible with both BC Cloud and BC On-Prem. So it doesn't matter to us whether you're on one or the other.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much. That's all of the questions that I have here in the Q&A. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Mike?
No, again, big thanks to Savantis for having us. Thank you to you and your team. Thanks to everybody who joined today. And, don't hesitate to reach out to your contact at the Savantis team if there was anything intriguing in here that you want to have a deeper conversation around. And everybody have a great rest of the week.